morning, cowboys. It's Tuesday, May 21st, 1991, just past 11 a.m. Today's special guest is Ioan Culianu, a historian at the Divinity School, who will be with us in 2 short hours. Acts of harassment on campus, including last month's physical assault of a gay male graduate student, and the envelopes filled with neurotoxins sent from the Brotherhood of the Iron Fist. We have our first caller with us now.
Hello, I represent a group of amateur psychics.
Great. Thanks for calling in.
We have information pertaining to your murder case.
Excuse me?
He wears a brown jacket, and there was the image of him running in and out of shadows, or someone who is often on campus but doesn't belong there.
Former communist nation of Romania has a bright future as economic conditions continue to improve.
One day I was just browsing through the true crime section, and I just happened upon this book with this sort of noteworthy color, the cover, the hardcover, and it was actually Ted's book, Ted Anton's book, about the murder of Culianu, and I started kind of browsing it and looking at it, and I realized that for the one thing, I had no idea about this, even though I worked at the same university where he was killed, and I went to the building where he was killed pretty much every day, and I was just very, very surprised by the fact that there was really not much. That's a euphemism, really. There was nothing in the university that remembered him or that even acknowledged that he had worked there and that he had died there. This character becomes convinced that he is Culianu's reincarnation, and he, in turn, becomes obsessed with the case, and he wants to solve the case, the murder of Culianu, which, as you well know, is unsolved still today. And in doing so, he disappears out of the face of the earth and completely vanishes.
I got my doctorate at the University of Chicago studying under Ioan Culianu. Any new student, he would just, shake their hand, and he had this funny, squeaky, rather high-pitched voice. Hello, I am Ioan. We're going to be learning together. And just introduce himself on a first-name basis as a fellow learner, as a fellow student.
Clothes was always clothes. And sometimes I can read things by Culianu and I can sort of hear in my head that voice. And I'd say a thing about Ioan that made him so endearing was he was very funny. I mean, he made jokes. Maybe some of them weren't always so funny, but he made them often at his own expense. For instance, I'll give you, we had a Halloween party, and he showed up as Dracula.
When I said, cut the bullshit, you're going as Dracula, and just threw the cape and the fangs at him, and he says, oh, okay, and sure enough, he went to the party, pissing himself, laughing just as much as everybody else at the sheer silliness of it, dancing, having a good time.
Swift Hall is surrounded by the Chicago Police Department. I've seen them questioning students and faculty around the building. Maybe the police are with Professor Culianu, and that is why he was running late.
In the immediate aftermath, everyone was devastated.
Somebody heard a shot, and they went into the bathroom, and they found someone had committed suicide. Which, again, is traumatic enough, because you don't usually have someone committing suicide in the third floor bathroom right next to the department office in Swift Hall. While we're all still processing that, someone comes walking down the hall and said, guys, I just heard, I think it was Ioan.
And I was like, truly, things in a movie where it's like, you literally don't believe it just as much. That can't be. I just talked to him less than an hour ago. It doesn't make any sense. We just sat there for a while and talked about. I don't recall what we said or did or something. But it was like at a certain point, it was like, well, obviously, we shouldn't do the exam. But then we kind of like sat there, and somebody then said, this is what it is. It's not going to get any better, get any different. We're all here to do this. Why don't we try to do it? And if it doesn't work, we'll do it again another day. But if it works, let's just do it. And so I had my exam. I have no idea what they asked me. I have no idea what I answered. I passed. But it was like totally in a blank.
We don't know why Ioan was murdered, but part of it must have had to do with something that he was working on, some kind of project that people did not want him to pursue.
We've received some calls that suggest that due to Culianu's magical abilities that he might try to contact us from beyond the grave. What do you make of these reports?
I mean, I heard about the psychic and some sort of messages from beyond the grave, but I said, because I'm still at one point in touch with Ioan's fiancée Hillary, I said, here's my thing. I know that I'm supposed to suspend disbelief, and I understand methodologically I shouldn't just dismiss this, but I said, don't you think that if Ioan had messages to send, he would send it to you or me or why? There's a lot to think about with Ioan. He had an incandescent intelligence, and so there's stuff to discuss, but I'd rather discuss the stuff that I feel like he wanted us to discuss, and also the stuff that I feel is grounded in some way. So the sort of chasing after whoever the psychics were in their sketch or whatever, that's the sort of stuff that's like I feel I do better by doing something okay, so that's a judgment call, worth doing. Teaching a course, publishing something, doing something, rather than sort of grasping after those phantoms.
A little later tonight, there is expected to be a soul watch for our professor. Sorry, a soul watch? Yes, exactly. I will read the announcement. You may, in a matter of minutes, view the transmigration of the soul of the late Professor Ioan Culianu. This will be the last image of him for quite some time. We are sure you will understand the importance of such an interruption. If you witness the Professor's soul, we ask that you call the station immediately at 702-8424. Again, that's 773-702-8424. Thank you.